we've been keeping this door closed because the dogs have learned that they can climb over this goat gate. So a little feed room, an area for the goats, the goat shed, and then the male alpaca are all over here. Hey fellas, what you doing, boys? That's Frazier on the right there with the little tuft of fiber next to his mouth. And that's Talisker. And that's Streak. And Spicy. Heinrich is sitting down in the back there, and I don't know if you can see. There he goes. He turned his head. That is Sitka. Sitka is deaf. He's a blue-eyed white. But he gets around. He gets by just fine. The boys living here. They have the whole pasture in the paddock, but this is where they stay in the winter when it's cold. They have access to hay all the time. They get 5 ounces of grain a day. This time you get it sometimes twice a day, mostly twice a day. They got heated water buckets, keep the ice from forming. This is Pepper. Pepper is a pygora goat. He's actually a wether. So these guys produce mohair. Mohair comes from Angora goats and pygora goats. We have pygora goats, 3 of them. You're being silly, mister? Huh? There's our phoenix rooster pecking around. Some of the other chickens out there free ranging. The calf hut is just an additional goat housing. When we move them to clear brush in different areas, we'll set up temporary panels. We'll put the calf hut in there and some water. And they have food, shelter, and water. That's Cricket. That's Pepper's sister. And that's Peggy down there. She's a little more standoffish. Here she comes. The tires are going to be enrichment for the goats. They play on them now, but we're going to lay them out in a pyramid, basically a rectangle. We'll put the fill from the pond, pack it down, put a smaller concentric layer of tires, pack that down until they have a little pyramid to play on. We'll cap off some of the tires with cement. That'll help keep their hooves worn down. Just a little bit of enrichment for the goats. They like playing on a log there and the spool. And they have their little trampoline. They love the trampoline. They sleep on it. They play on it. They play King of the Hill. Oh, Pepper, what are you doing there, buddy? Huh? Coming to say hello? Our lower pasture is just covered in ice. It's all flooded and frozen. That's the girls' favorite spot in the spring. When we open that up and they all run down, jumping around. They absolutely love that lower pasture. It's a little bit bigger of an area. And then the rotational sections start. Well, even that first section there is pretty frozen. There's a little creek back there behind the trees where those 2 maple sap collection barrels are laying on their side. There's a log yard from shiitake mushrooms, and maybe we'll do a little video on that in the spring. Our back paddock, the front paddock, and there's the girls. They've given up barking up by the road. They've come to lay over here now. Keep an eye on the herd. There's Femme Fatale. She's doing a little bit of, she's rubbing her teeth on the panels. All the other girls are inside, eating hay, relaxing. This is Honey. What you doing, girl? She's the largest alpaca we have. She's quite large for an alpaca. Her mom's not little either, but she's a good girl. I don't know if you could see that bulge next to her mouth there in her cheek. That's not a tumor or a growth. That's actually, she's got cud in there that she'll be chewing on. She's pulled that up from one of her stomachs. They have 2 stomachs. They're not true ruminants. They're pseudo ruminants. They only have 2 stomachs, not 3. But she'll pull that cud up from her stomach, and she'll spend some time chewing on it and then swallowing it again. So, not knowing what it is, sometimes it looks like their face is swollen, but that's just their cud. All right, honey. It's our little farm store. It's where we sell our yarn and our socks and maple syrup and honey when we have it, and a couple of ash logs I'll cut up to firewood for the maple sap. More firewood logs that we'll use for heating the house, and some of that will have to go towards maple sap boiling as well. Pile of junk in front of the barn. I think every farm has a pile of junk, but unfortunately ours is right here in front of the barn for now. I gotta clean that up before spring. One of the 2 sawbucks I built for cutting up firewood, they come in real handy. They really save your back when you're trying to cut it up. It's also safer. The log's not going to roll down or fall on you if you cut it up from the pile. And it's really made firewood a lot easier this year. We heat the house with that wood boiler. We also heat the main part of the barn. We keep it about 45 degrees in there. Some of the birds, including the peacocks, will go in there when it's really cold weather or really foul weather. We also heat the garage and the studio above it. That's my wife's massage office. And on the weekends, it's an Airbnb. So we heat 3 buildings with that wood boiler with locally harvested logs from a couple local farms. You can see the solar panels on the house. That was one of the first things we did here when we moved here. We had the solar panels installed and cut our power bill by about 1/3. That was definitely a good move for us. $0 out of pocket, and we have a new power company now, but so we pay $17 or so approximately to be attached to the grid, and then we pay the company that owns the panels as our power company. And again, I said, you know, it reduced our power costs by about 1/3. So it's definitely a good move for us here on the farm. Our little Kubota, I don't know what we would do without her. That was one of the first purchases, for definitely the first major purchase. She's finally paid off, but she's little but mighty. You know, we do all kinds of work with her around here. You can see how the forks and the bucket, and there's a 5-foot cultivator there that we use for incorporating the compost into a lot of the beds. Our little Cub Cadet side by side, and she's not pretty, but she's a workhorse, and she does really well for us here. So this is Cinderella. She doesn't care for LT too much, but she's a beautiful bird. She loves to be pet, loves head rubs, and she's been hanging out in the barn all winter with these guys, the big chickens, the dinosaur chickens. This is Addie, Ataba, and Adelaide. Sorry, Addie, which is Adelaide, Ataba, and Sid. And there's our black shoulder peacock. They're just kind of all hanging out together today. The back door is open, and they're enjoying a little warmer weather. It's 30 degrees Well, it's warmed up to a little bit. It's not sub-zero anymore. We have these guys for eggs. We'll probably sell the young ones when we get a chance. She just started laying. She's laid 2 eggs, but the one definitely wasn't viable. It was a soft egg. I think she's needs a little more calcium in her diet. Hi, Cindy. Cinderella, what you doing, girl? These are our side-by-side evaporators. Getting ready for sap season here. Well, it is sap season, but it's not flowing today. It's a little too cold. It was flowing pretty good yesterday. Still have a lot of trees to tap, but we'll use these 2 evaporators to boil all the sap. Last year we made about 12 gallons of maple syrup. Hoping to break that. I think our record was 14. Hoping to break our record this year. We're gonna get some snow tonight. That'll help keep the roots cool, and it'll look more like winter again tomorrow. Some of the sap lines, collection barrel. This is our bulk tank where we store the sap.